Hello, everyone. I'm Robert De Anda.
And I'm Danny Cardoza. Welcome to Andale Sports.
It's week 9 of the NFL season, and at Andale Sports, we're going to continue to give our game predictions. So let's get it started. First, we got the Redskins visiting the undefeated Patriots this weekend, and Andale Sports has the Patriots winning that game.
Continuing to stay undefeated. Moving on to the Titans at the Saints. Andale Sports has the Saints beating up on the Titans after the Saints had a big shootout with the Giants this past week. That was an entertaining game.
Yeah, they make it 4 wins in a row now. And then we got the Dolphins visiting the Buffalo Bills, where Tyrod Taylor is making his return. On the list sports, we do have the Bills winning that game.
Should be a solid one. I know the Bills, they've had some ups and downs in the year, but now it seems like they're starting to get healthy, even with Percy Harvin potentially going onto the IR.
Definitely. Rex Ryan, his defense is starting to settle in too. They're trending upwards, I believe.
As long as they keep focused on it, they can finish the season good and really have a potential playoff season next year is what I think.
Definitely.
Moving on to J at J. That is the Jaguars at the Jets. We're moving on. Andale Sports has the Jets. The Jaguars aren't really scaring anybody.
No.
Hey.
And I thought the Jets defense was pretty scary, but then the Raiders just torched them last week. So there was a little doubt in that, but
bounce back game.
Yeah, I think the Jets said it right this weekend.
Yeah.
And after we got the Raiders, who we just spoke about, are visiting the Steelers, and we have the Steelers winning that game. The Raiders, this is going to be their real test. I'm seeing if they're for real this weekend. If Derek Carr can go into Pittsburgh and beat Ben Roethlisberger, I'll be a believer. But until then, Steelers.
You touched on the sports taking the Steelers, though, even losing their main workhorse and ringing that bell. But with DeAngelo Williams showing what he did in those first 2 weeks, and even coming in after the game and being a boss and just doing so good with just 7 or 6 carries, hey, you can't choose against Big Ben when he's leading that offensive prolific wide receiver tandem that they got going on offense. Moving on to the Giants at the Buccaneers, Andale Sports has the Buccaneers. After that win against the Falcons, and the Giants, I think they're going to have a hangover,
Yeah, Jameis Winston is looking like a pretty good rookie. Initially, his first pass was a pick 6, kind of like Brett Favre, but since then he's been playing really well. Like Andy just mentioned, he beat Matt Ryan last weekend, so looks like they're also team trending upwards. Their defense is playing a little bit better than some people might think. Watch out for the Buccaneers this weekend. And the next, we've got the Falcons against the 49ers. And it's probably the easiest pick of the week, honestly. We got the Falcons beating the 49ers that are starting Blaine Gabbert this weekend.
He's got, I think, going back 10, 11 losses, dates back to a few years now. It's almost worse than starting Brandon Whedon. Moving on from that game, Andale Sports has the Eagles at the Cowboys, and we're going to be homers, and we're going to choose the Cowboys. Hey.
Number 1 draft pick right here.
Andale Sports. Damn. Moving from that, we're about to welcome in our special guest. Welcome back to Andale Sports. Now help me in welcoming in our special guest.
My name is Danny Cardoza. I'm ready here to talk football with my boy Andy.
Hey, and you know what? Let's talk about the Broncos.
What about the Broncos?
Well, let's begin with that one. One of our 4 games next, and then we're going to be talking about is the Broncos at the Colts. And here, Andale Sports collectively, including our special guest, of course, all have the Broncos winning that game. Can you give me some insider Bronco fan analysis that you got, man?
Well, we are the favorite to win that game, and I think it's obvious why. Luck is nothing but bad this year.
Bad luck.
Colts' defense has never been existent, and Denver has had this defense just emerge. I don't want to name the whole entire defense, but props to all my boys over there. Denver's defense. You saw what he did to Aaron Rodgers' passing game? Non-existent. 77 yards?
77 yards.
Terrible. So I'd like to add in that there is some bad blood between these two teams. We did lose to them last year in the playoffs, and that just gut-wrenching for me. So, Irsay talked to smack a few years back, so there's more bad blood between there. It's going to be Payne's last year in Indy. Did you know that? That's going to be his last game in India right there. So it's his homecoming. So it's a perfect time to let the fans know, those Indianapolis fans that wrote him off, talked all that smack, to watch their past kind of come back and haunt them.
And they're continuing to an undefeated season. And especially on the Broncos, on all that you're saying, let me back you up real quick. With some statistical information. The Broncos are right now the number 4 defense against the run, averaging only 89 yards a game. They're the number 1 passing defense, allowing only 171 yards a game. And the number 1 total defense, allowing only 261 yards a game.
And my most favorite stat, because it looks so pretty when they're chasing around those QBs, number 1 in sacks. Bam.
That's going to be clutch, especially the way it's been bad luck for Andrew.
Yeah, he's going to be rolling around all over the floor and that AstroTurf tomorrow, or Sunday, my bad.
Let's move on to the Rams at Vikings, where Andale Sports is split. Myself and Danny, we got the Rams, while Robbie has the Vikings. And personally, I think Teddy Bridgewater isn't going to do well against the number 6 total defense that's only allowing 328 yards a game. I think AP is going to have a bad game against the number 9 rushing defense that's still allowing under 100 yards at 98 yards a game.
So they got their work cut out for him. Todd Gurley, he needs to show he could play up against a semi-decent run defense. That defense of the Rams is the one that's going to decide the game. If they play the way we know them to play, I think they got this win.
Gurley needs to show up, like you said, because if he wants to be that rookie of the year, if he wants to be the Roy, he's going to have to continue against a top Vikings defense. But the Vikings haven't really played anybody good this year.
No, they haven't. The only running back that they've actually stopped is Matt Forte.
Yeah.
And Matt Forte hasn't had a really good, not hit first-round fantasy pick type of year at all.
The Bears are bad on top of that. So stopping the Bears, it doesn't take a stop sign to stop the Bears. So as the Vikings are playing against the Rams, I don't think, and with having a guy that's a veteran going against a Teddy Bridgewater, all he's got is Diggs, who's emerged, but now these teams have tape on him.
Yeah, they do.
Moving on to the Packers at the Panthers. Andale Sports, including our special guest, is unanimous in taking the Panthers this week.
And it doesn't seem so cut out when you look at their records. And I don't want to say that it's just because of the way they lost to Denver that everyone's writing off Green Bay this season. But I got to say that Panthers defense matches up extremely well with that Green Bay offense that's been terrible. Aaron Rodgers is not himself. And that defense for Carolina, which hasn't got any of the light in those in this undefeated streak, is gonna put the whoop on them. Denver already showed what the blueprint is. They already know how to stop Aaron Rodgers to 77 yards. Let's see if they can make it 76. All right, so they're third against allowed points against the QB, which doesn't help Rodgers. 8th in sacks, and what else is there to say?
On top of that, you got the Panthers that are number 1 in the NFL in rushing yards a game at 144. Whether it's Stewart, whether it's Cam Newton, or whether it's the big man, the big fullback everybody loves to love, and Tolbert, everybody's getting some love running the bar. And I think part of that is what's going to keep Aaron Rodgers off of the field, and it's going to give him less amount of a game. Because as you continue to run the ball versus these missed incompletions, the clock is going to keep running. That'll equal out to less possessions for the Rodgers and the Pack. Moving on to the Bears and the Chargers. Me and Danny here, we got the Chargers, and I know you got a problem with it.
I can't stand those fools. That stupid ball all the time. Crybaby Rivers. My girlfriend calls him Crybaby Rivers. And then I searched on it. It's actually a thing. That's his nickname. So
Robbie does have the Bears. Let me state that. I don't know why. I think he's trying to. I don't know. He's praying or something. I guess. Know.
But
without Forte, I think it's going to be tough for them to be the Bears that they've been for these past since they've had Forte.
Yeah.
For these, I don't know how many years it's been now. It's just been Forte's been the man. Whether it's running the ball, whether it's catching the ball. He had over 100 catches last year. He is one of the most important parts of that offense. Without him, I think they're going to be flustered, and the Chargers are going to continue to be the number one passing offense at 326 yards a game. The number one total offense at 423 yards a game.
Yeah. And I'd like to point out, not because you said that a little bit too authoritative, San Diego is number one in passing because they're chasing, points in the fourth quarter. Chicago doesn't have the defense to really stop that. They're 26th in points allowed to the QB. But San Diego might not have to be chasing the points this year. I mean, this coming Sunday. So look for Weedle, Melvin Gordon to score some points. It might come out to be a lot easier than at least we think it's going to be. So
on top of that, there's a reason why it's called garbage time.
It is garbage time, yeah.
So yeah, exactly what you're saying. Maybe these running backs are going to get some good rushes and get the game going, move it faster, and hopefully for Rivers, they take that stream upstream and take it down and get that win for us, especially since we picking them. On that note, I want to personally thank you, Danny, for coming out, taking a part in Andale Sports. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share, and have a great weekend. Much love.